Welcome YouTubers to another episode in my Grammar Hero series. In this video, I'm going to be discussing simple interest, which has a very high likelihood of appearing on both arithmetic reasoning as well as the mathematics knowledge subtest of the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, that is the ASVAB. Before I do that, however, I just want to mention this. As is the case with all the formulas I mentioned in my videos, you do have to commit this one to memory since you're not allowed to use a formula sheet on the ASVAB. Thankfully enough, and as you can see, this formula is pretty easy to remember. It's I equals P times R times T, where I stands for interest, P stands for principal, R stands for the annual interest rate, and T stands for time in years. In case you don't know it, principal is often referred to as the amount that you invest initially. So this is the initial amount that you invest. Annual interest rate is always given in percentages. So for example, if I told you I invested $500 at an annual interest rate of 5%, that would be this, 0.05 for 5 years. These are the numbers you would plug into the formula. And the amount that I earned after 5 years would be referred to the interest. Just to give you another scenario, let's say I invested $20,000 at 7%, that would be 0.07 for 10 years. Those are the numbers I would plug into this formula. In my personal opinion, if you see a problem like this on the ASVAB, this is pretty much a given. So memorize this formula. If you see it, you're pretty much going to get the question right. So let's go ahead and take a look at a practice problem. This one says a teacher deposited $3,000 in a retirement fund. If she didn't add any more money to the fund, which earns an annual interest rate of 6%, how much money would she have in 1 year? So the first thing I'm going to do with this problem is write down the formula for simple interest, since we know that's what we're dealing with. And again, that's I equals P times R times T. And now we're going to go ahead and start filling things in, which we were given in this question. Again, we're trying to find out how much money she's going to earn in the year, so that's going to be referred to as interest. The principal, as I said, is the amount originally deposited or put into account, and we can see right there that it's $3,000. We know that the fund has an annual interest rate of 6%. And as I said, we write that as 0.06. And we're also told that it was invested for 1 year. So that's our time. Anything times 1 is itself. So let's go ahead and do 0.06 times 1. So this is just going to be 3,000 times 0.06. Now we got to work with 3,000 times 0.06. When you multiply decimals, this is how you deal with them. You take 3,000, you multiply it by 0.06. To multiply decimals, you get rid of the decimals by moving the decimal place accordingly. In this case, I'm going to move the decimal place to the right 2 times. I'm going to take note of that. And at the very end of this problem, I'll move the decimal back into the left 2 times. So in other words, here's the problem I'm actually working out by moving that decimal. 3,000 times 6. And again, I'm going to move the decimal place back into the left 2 times. 0 times 6 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 6 times 3 is 18. Bring our 2 decimals back in. 1, 2. So we can see that over the course of a year, she earned $180 in interest. Okay. Now that said, the question asks how much money would she have in 1 year? Well, the answer is not 180. Even though that's the amount of interest that she earned in a year, we have to take this amount of interest that she earned and add it to the principal. So we're going to do 3,000 plus 180. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 1 is 1. And 3 plus nothing is 3. So in reality, after 1 year, she'll have $3,180. Again, don't make that mistake. Now, I imagine if instead of writing 0.06, you wrote 6 as your percentage, you'd probably end up with this answer. So never write just 6. Whenever you go from percents to decimals, it's 0.06 for 6%, 0.10 for 10%, and so on. All right, second question. It says, Bailey loaned Robin $1,500 at a simple annual interest rate of 7%. If she repays the loan after 2 years, how much money would she have to pay? Okay. So in this case, I'm going to write down the formula first. And let's go ahead and plug things in accordingly. We don't know what the interest is. We're trying to figure that out. We know that the original amount loaned is going to be $1,500, so that's our principal in this case. The rate is 7%. Do not write just 7. Write 0.07. Okay. And the time in this case, unlike the first question, is 2 years. So our time is going to be 2. Let's go ahead and work this out. Now, in this case, we don't have a 1 here, so we have to multiply all 3 things together. If you're good at mental math, you can either do 2 times 0.07 or 2 times 1,500. I'm going to do 2 times 0.07 in my head. Again, that's the same as doing 2 times 7, albeit a decimal. 2 times 0.07 is going to be 0.14. If you found it more helpful to do 2 times 1,500, that would have been 3,000, and then it would have been 3,000 times 0.07. But that said, we can see that we have 1,500 times 0.14, so we got to go ahead and work that out off to the side since it's a decimal. Now we're going to move the decimal place however many times we need to the right to get rid of it. 1, 2 in this case. So the problem I'm really working out is 1,500 times 14 or 14 with 2 decimals that I need to add back into the left. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Drop down to 0 since we're starting this 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Let's add. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Bring our 2 decimals back in. 1, 2. So we know that after 2 years, the amount of interest owed on the money is $210. Now, as you can see, that's not an answer choice, and as was the case in the last problem, we have to take this amount and add it to the principal. So we're going to do 1,500 plus 210 to find out how much money Robin has to pay back. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. 1 plus nothing is 1. So after 2 years, Robin would have to pay back $710. Okay? Final question's more straightforward. It says, what is the simple interest on $600 at 8% for 2 years? So we know we're dealing with the interest formula, or the formula for simple interest. So let's go ahead and write it down. I equals P times R times T. We know we're interested in finding the interest in this case. We know our principal is $600. We know the rate is 8%. Do not write just 8 in there. You'll get it wrong. 0.08 is what you write in there. And the time in this case is 2 years. Let's go ahead and work this out. Now, as was the case in the last problem, you can do mental math here. You can do 2 times 0.08 or 2 times 600. So I'm going to do 2 times 600, which is going to be 1200. And that leaves me with 0.8 left. So now I got to do a whole number times a decimal. Let's go ahead and work that out. Okay, and to make 0.08 into a whole number, move this decimal 2 times. So in reality, I'm working out this problem. 1200 times 8 with 2 decimals to add back in at the end. 0 times 8 is 0. 0 times 8 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. Add our 2 decimals back in. 1, 2. So we can see that after 2 years, the amount of interest is $96, which is right here. Now, unlike these other 2 problems, this question is just asking you for the amount of interest, not the total in the account or the total amount paid back for the loan. Honestly, that's all I have for this video. If you found it helpful, feel free to leave some feedback in the comments section below or thumbs this video up. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and cut you guys loose. Konnichiwa.